Hey.
Alright, y'all, so about 1 week into this NBA season, and it is prime overreaction time, and one big overreaction that I've been loving to see is that the LA Clippers are actually a decently good basketball team. Which is crazy to say because it was literally just a week or two ago that if you had asked anyone their opinion of the LA Clippers, they would probably say something along the lines of they're going to be unwatchable. And I don't really blame them, despite the fact that they were opening up their new arena, the Intuit Dome, which looks, really cool, a whole bunch of bathrooms. But in terms of actual roster construction, they lost Paul George for absolutely nothing. They've lost Kawhi Leonard to the absolute mystery that is his knee injury. They added a bunch of minute role players and no real, stars or any sort of something to fill in that Paul George-sized hole. And they've basically decided to just put the ball in James Harden's hands, who, if you ask him, Luka Doncic just made it to the NBA Finals using the Harden style of basketball. So despite the fact that everybody rolled their eyes when he said that on media day, he's happy. Anyway, fast forward to today though, the Clippers have started the season 2-1. They almost took down the Phoenix Suns in their first game. They took down the Denver Nuggets in Denver in their second game behind a huge fourth quarter from Norman Powell. Yes, the same Norman Powell that was talking smack about Paul George being an addition by subtraction. And then they went out and picked up a very nice win in Golden State. Steph Curry did not play the fourth quarter after turning an ankle, but it was still a very solid win regardless. And so you might be asking yourself, how are the Clippers winning these games despite the fact that they were pegged to be one of the worst teams heading into the season, and a lot of people didn't even have them making the play-in? Well, for starters, as a team, they are third in the entire NBA in defensive rating with a rating of 103.2, and that passes the eye test as well. They are playing great team defense, playing together, forcing a lot of turnovers and bad shots. Whereas the offensive side of the ball, it's mainly just been a few guys holding together a very shaky but somehow effective way to score points. The James Harden and Ivica Zubac duo has been the number one reason why the Clippers have been able to score the ball and win games. So far across these first 3 games, James Harden is averaging a very inefficient 25 points while adding 11 assists and 8 rebounds. Zubac has also been stuffing the stat sheet. He's just a hair under 23 points per game, also averaging 14 rebounds and over 4 assists per game. And when these two are on the court, or at least one of them, the offense is running entirely through them. Every single time down the court, the defense is going to be seeing a James Harden, Ivica Zubac pick and roll at some point in the possession. And I don't even blame them because it has been a pretty unstoppable action. With James Harden being such a good pick and roll player, he is just so great at getting good shot attempts, whether it be for himself, or he's also just amazing at drawing 2 defenders and then dumping off to the big man, which in this case, Zubac has been incredible at finishing those plays after getting the pass. What I love most is that they don't even have to run a pick and roll to be able to get this duo activated. Sometimes Zubac just be straight chilling on the baseline, waiting behind the defense, because again, Harden doesn't always need a pick and roll. Sometimes he's just able to blow by his defender and get to the rim. And again, Zubac is way underappreciated as a play finisher and scorer around the rim. And so he's able to go to work once the pass gets thrown. Plus, another layer to this pick and roll that makes it even more devastating, and something that I was actually kind of surprised by in watching back this game and tape, is that Zubac is also a very underrated passer. I think a lot of people have him labeled as this kind of just a rim-running big man who grabs a lot of rebounds and just scores a lot of opportunities around the hoop, but he actually looks really good in the short roll. So if defenses are able to cover both him and Harden in these super great pick and rolls, Zubac has the ability to then kick out to shooters, and he did it plenty in this game against the Warriors. He even had this really nice dime to James Harden where Harden faked like he was going to take the handoff, but then he cut back door and beat his man, and Zubac dropped the dime. And this might have been my favorite play of the game, because as the game went on, obviously Zubac was playmaking out of the short roll, the pick and roll, and it then led up to this play in the clutch, where he then faked the pass in the short roll and was able to get a free dunk out of it. Just great stuff in general. They've even been designing a few plays every game to just get Zubac a touch in the post, because another aspect of his game that is completely underrated, he low-key has a very nice bag in the post. He is great with the little hook shot. He's also willing to crash the offensive glass, which puts a whole nother thing of pressure onto the defense. And at the end of the day, he's just such a big body. He's someone the defense has to account for. All in all, I think it's safe to say that Harden and Zubac have been somewhat of like a 1A, 1B, or co-MVPs for this team so far, because when they're not on the court and it is an all-bench lineup, or all-bench plus like Norman Powell or Derrick Jones Jr., this team looks gross. I don't know how much more I can take of Kevin Porter Jr. running the offense and just bricking midi after midi or turning the ball over. And outside of Norman Powell having his occasional scoring outburst, the only other player that has really stood out to me so far for the Clippers this season is Chris Dunn, who has been unbelievable. He just seems to get his hands on every single play, whether offense or defense, and even though he has his limitations on the offensive side of the ball, he's just been, compared to the rest of the team, he at least offers you something with, driving and kicking, just moving the ball in general, setting good screens, getting to the rim. Plus, on defense, he is easily one of the best guard defenders in the entire league. In this Warriors game alone, he jumped the passing lane about 4 times, and all of them were completely unexpected. He just comes out of nowhere and steals a pass. But easily the best play to just show you what Chris Dunn does on defense is this one here, where he jumps in to offer some help on the Andrew Wiggins drive, gets back to his man Jonathan Kuminga and plays really solid defense to stop his drive, and then Norm Powell blocks Buddy Hield's shot. Chris Dunn lays out to keep the ball inbounds, and the Clippers come away with a huge stop in the clutch, all because of Dunn's efforts. So all in all, in terms of full season predictions, I still don't really trust this Clippers team to be that great in this tough Western Conference, but it is very nice to see that they are going to be better than a whole lot of people initially thought before the season. I think a lot of people downplayed the fact that James Harden is still one of the better offensive players in the entire league, at least from a playmaking standpoint. I think people downplayed the fact that Tyronn Lue is still one of the best head coaches in the league. And perhaps most importantly, I think a lot of people downplayed just how good Ivica Zubac can be in an expanded role, because again, they are unleashing him and he is breaking out as the second option. And it's been honestly enjoyable to watch, because Zubac, at the end of the day, he's a grinder. He is, again, one of these more traditional NBA bigs that continue to seem to pop up. And at the very, very least, he makes Clippers games somewhat watchable because of the chemistry between him and James Harden. They make the game look effortless, and at the end of the day, that's really fun to watch.
Hey.